Hey everyone, I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Can you believe we're already in December and it's time for like the yearly roundup videos? I love filming these videos. I think they're some of my favorites to film all year long, and I have some really awesome stuff to talk about with you today. This is going to be my favorite things that I have tried all year long and also at the very end of last year. I tend to not include things from November and December in like a yearly favorites video. So I'm gonna do the same this year. Favorites from the end of last year up until like the end of October of this year, 2023. And these will not all be new releases. Many of them are things that have been out for a really long time, but they were just items that I tried for the very first time this year. Oh my gosh, I have so much stuff to talk about. I'm looking at this box and I'm like, oh my gosh, so much to talk about. I'm drinking my jasmine tea. I can link the exact one down below, and I'm ready to get started. Let's perhaps start with sunscreens. I have two that I want to mention. This one from Bliss. This is the Block Star. The only thing I don't like about it is that it's SPF 30. I wish it was higher than that, but 30, it's okay. But this particular sunscreen is soft matte, which I find is a kind of a difficult sunscreen to find in a formula that I enjoy. This one is blurring on the skin. It is really, really beautiful by itself, but also underneath makeup. It never pilled on me, and it was a joy to use this, and you can get this at Target. So I highly recommend this one if you're looking for something that won't make you look shiny. That was something I heard from a family member recently. I was encouraging them to wear sunscreen. They're like, oh, but it makes you look so shiny. This is a good option if you don't want to look shiny. Okay, the second one I want to talk about is a K-beauty brand. This is from Make Prem. This is the Light and Refreshing Sun Essence with full moisture. They always have the funniest names, don't they? But this is SPF 50, and this is a daily sun essence, so it's a very lightweight cream. I really enjoy using this one. It's again, not going to pill under your makeup. It's going to give a nice moisturized finish, but I didn't think this one was excessively dewy in comparison to other ones I've tried. And it's not extremely thick and hydrating either. If you're looking for something really thick and hydrating, this wouldn't be the one for you. But if you're looking for something more light, I highly recommend this one. So I don't have a ton of skincare things to mention besides sunscreen, but I do need to mention this one item, and it pains me because it's just so expensive, and I don't even like thinking about how expensive it is, but it really has been working for me. So this is a serum from Lancome. This is the Advanced Génifique Youth Activating Concentrate. I'm not enjoying thinking about how expensive it is, because look, I only have a little bit left in there. This product has really saved my skin now that the weather is cooler. I started noticing it especially last winter. My skin just really dried out. That's not something that's really happened to me before. And I use this every morning and every evening, and I find that it really helps keep my skin nice and hydrated. It's very noticeable for me, especially when I wear it at night. My skin in the morning is still nice and hydrated. So I think this is a really good serum. And if you have a less expensive dupe for this, please tell me, because I'm not looking forward to buying this again. It also doesn't make my acne flare up. None of these skincare things do, which is a huge deal for me, which is another reason why I'm more willing to spend the money. All right, let's get into the makeup. So let's talk about some foundation, skin tint type things. I have two favorites that I discovered this year. Oh, I enjoy them both. The first one is the Sneaky Balm from Salt New York. I tried Salt New York at the very beginning of this year, and I enjoy all of their products. In fact, I'm wearing the bronzer today. I think it's beautiful. But the Sneaky Balm in particular, I think is just really unique among any other product that I've tried. So the founder of the brand recommends using a sponge to apply it for the most natural looking finish. If you want more coverage, you can use a brush, just because a sponge will give you pretty sheer to light coverage. This isn't a product if you want to cover up a lot of things. This is a product if you just want to kind of even out the complexion a little bit, but also have the most beautiful, radiant but not greasy effect. I think if you have dry skin, you will love this. Oily skin, you might struggle with this. It's pretty emollient, but this is the type of product I want to wear when it's cold outside. My skin just drinks up this type of balmy formula. It's never made me break out, and it wears very well for me. I have not had it creasing around my mouth or anything, so I think this is a beautiful skin tint product. And the best thing is it's not that expensive either, and they often run sales like buy two, get two free, or even more. When I bought mine, they were running a sale for buy three, get three free, which is how I ended up with so many of their products. The second foundation I want to mention is from Makeup Forever. This is the Reboot foundation, and I know this has been out for quite a long time. I wear the shade Y218. Oh, I should have mentioned in the Salt New York which shade I like to wear. I like to wear shade N12. So back to the Reboot foundation, it does claim to brighten, smooth, firm, hydrate, and even out your skin. So this one is one that does have some skincare stuff in it, and I do find that when my skin is really just crying for help, like especially in the winter time, this is another product that really, really works for me. In the summer, it's very, very glowy on me, which, you know, that's a choice, but in the winter, it's just not as glowy. My skin just drinks up all that moisture and it ends up just having kind of a very beautiful, slightly radiant finish. But this is more of a tint. It's not going to give you a ton of coverage. This is just something to help the skin out a little bit. I like to think of it as just not looking so dead. Just to have a nice youthful look and appearance. I am delighted to have this in my stash. I have one face palette to mention. I'm very, very glad that I like this because it was very expensive. Aesthetically, it's just one of the most beautiful things that I own in my collection. It is so stunning. This is from Hourglass. This is from their collection this year. And I was able to choose the shades that go in my palette. I got the lightest shades, so I have a highlighter, a bronzer, 2 blushes, and 2 powders. Hourglass powders really are next level in terms of how finely milled they are. Like, I don't think I probably need to convince you guys of that. I feel like these are talked about a lot on YouTube, but I did have to mention it in my yearly favorites just because I have been consistently reaching for these powders. The shade Ethereal Light I use under my eyes, and the shade Diffused Light I put all over my face, but especially I like to use it when I just need to blend blush and bronzer together better. There's something about this that really does that well, but my face doesn't look powdery afterwards. It's just really, really finely milled and delightful. And the packaging is magnetic, which, as always, that's a delight. This year was kind of a highlighter heavy year for me. In the past, I couldn't care any less about highlighters. Now I love them. So let's talk about my 2 favorites that I found this year. So one is from Rare Beauty. I think this is going to be another product that's going to show up in a lot of people's favorites. I am wearing this shade today. This is the shade Mesmerize, and I think it's beautiful. So this is a very high intensity, or it can be a very high intensity highlighter, very, very bright and beaming. However, I don't usually wear it that way. Like, this is as intense as I'll wear it, just a little bit on a fan brush. I just brush it on, and then it really, this is one of those formulas that wants to melt into the skin. I have seen some people talk about how glittery this is. I think that if you're using a light hand, it's actually not glittery at all. If you really go in with a lot, you are gonna even see it in the air around your face, even like those little glittery particles. It's just a very soft, silky, baked formula that lays very closely to the skin. Ever since I tried this, the other shades have been on my wish list, and you know, I've got all these other formulas I wanna try, so I haven't picked up other shades, but it really was one of the best things I tried this year. It's beautiful. This next product has been out for such a long time, and I found myself craving it even when I didn't own it. I was like, okay, that's a sign, I guess. But I do have friends that own this. When I would see them wearing it, I decided, I'm like, yeah, it's just gorgeous. So from Fenty, this is the Diamond Balm in the shade How Many Carats. It really is a unique product. I know that other products have come out that are similar to it. I think Makeup by Mario has one. It is a beautiful, creamy formula, and the little glitter microparticles are very, very, very tiny, and when you place it on your skin, it creates the most beautiful scattered diamond dust effect. It's beautiful on the eyes, it's beautiful on the cheeks, like literally wherever you want to put this, and a lot of people will use it on their body. I even saw a video where someone put this in their hair to have like that diamond dust effect. It's very multi-use, very beautiful. This will last you forever, and I love it. I do. I squee when I get to use it. I think it's so beautiful. As per usual for me, I tried a lot of blushes this year, so I have my favorites that I tried this year to show you. So let's start with one that's been out forever and ever, and I finally tried it, and I think the formula is really good. I have to mention it, from Milani. I wasn't sure if I should mention it because I feel like you guys all know that this is good. Here it looks quite orange, doesn't it? This is the shade Luminoso. It is a beautiful, glowy, baked formula, and I mean, it's just a beautiful peachy shade. The hype is real with this one. It's still good. I'm so happy Milani has not discontinued this, even though it's been out for such a long time. Don't need to talk about that one for very long. You guys know about it, but it's very good. This year, the baked nude, no, not the baked nude, the pure nude baked blushes from Essence came out. I have a couple favorite shades, but I think this is probably my most favorite shade. This is the shade Goldy Cassis. This is another beautiful baked radiant formula. Each shade has differing levels of glitter in them. Some don't have it, some do. This one has very, very fine kind of silver shimmer in it. I would not call it glitters, like very, very fine micro sparkles. You're not really gonna see it on your face. It just gives the blush a beautiful, very soft radiance. And I find this to be a very flattering, cool-toned purpley blush. When I'm wearing a cool-toned look, I often reach for this one. Those had to be mentioned. They came out this year and they're so good. Something else that came out this year, and I knew it would be good because this brand always does a good job, but it actually kind of knocked my socks off. The cream blush from Sydney Grace. I have the shade Dreamy. So these little pots, they are quite pigmented. You don't need a ton. They have a nice melty formula. What I like about them so much is how thin they are and how closely they sit on the skin. And I put a pretty heavy swatch there so you could see the color really well, but I just couldn't get over how it was so natural looking on my skin. We use the phrase melting into the skin a lot. I mean, I know I'm very guilty of that, but this truly is just so thin and just became one with your cheek skin, or my cheek skin. Make that as awkward as possible, but anyway. But it also wears very well, and a lot of times cream formulas don't necessarily wear the longest, and this one I thought wore well. If you try these, let us all know down in the comments. Do you think they wear well? What else do you think? So I had to mention that. I think it's so good. The next two blushes I actually wasn't sure if I should mention because they are so particular to a very specific skin tone, but I figured in case you are extremely fair, like even more fair than me, I think I should mention these because they are very good, but they're actually quite similar to each other. So I wanted to mention them both. I have one that's drugstore and one that is luxury. So let's start with the drugstore one. This has been out forever and ever, right? It's from Covergirl. It's the classic blush or classic color blush in the shade Soft Mink. So I'm gonna give you a more like intense swatch, but then I'm going to blend it out on my wrist, like these two formulas together so that you can see what they look like next to each other. So there's the more intense swatch. It's a kind of nudie pink color and it's very radiant. It has a lot of small shimmer particles in it. It has a pretty intense smell. So this is not going to be for everyone, but this shade when blended out like a normal blush on my cheeks is actually so soft looking that it almost doesn't show up on me. So even though it is so sheer on me, it is very flattering. Like this is a beautiful everyday blush, and that having that radiance to it just makes it extra flattering, and it's radiant enough that you don't need a highlighter either when wearing this particular blush. And I thought it was such a good color, and it's at the drugstore. A lot of times you can find good formulas at the drugstore, but it's often the colors maybe that are lacking. But I think this color is just very kind of luxurious. And I find to be very similar in formula and like the type of blush to this blush from Lancome. So this is the Blush Subtle, Subtil I like to call it. But this is the shade Miel Glace. So this is another very sheer, hard-pressed blush. I feel like this one is a bit more nudie than the one from Covergirl. It also has radiance to it, so it's not flat matte. You can see how the one from Covergirl is definitely more pink. But honestly, blended out on the cheeks, they kind of look similar to each other on me. I'm gonna brush these onto like the palest part of my underarm and compare them. 1 second here. I'm just gonna use the little brushes that come with the packaging. Okay. This is the one from Covergirl. This is the one from Lancome. I hope it's focusing. So blended out with a brush, you can see how really subtle these are, but they're both stunning, really, really flattering. I do think the one from Covergirl has a bit more radiance in it than the one from Lancome, but you can see what I mean and how they're like very similar types of blushes. And I think both of these blushes have been out for such a long time for a reason, like just very, very classic shades. So I had to mention those. I thought they were very beautiful, but definitely for the very pale. Okay, now let's talk about the blush that I'm wearing. I finally tried Nudestix, which as much as I love cream formulas, it took me a really long time to try these. I have the shade Nude Buff in the Matte Luxe All Over Face blush color. I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. So here's what it looks like in the stick, and there it is swatched. It is really easy to blend out. You could just use your fingers if you wanted. I like to use a brush. You could use a sponge, like literally whatever method you like. This is not going to cause you any troubles. It blends out like a dream, and it's a beautiful pinky nude shade again. And I've really been into these nude blushes this year. It really does feel luxurious. Like the formula is just extra. It's really good. I realized I skipped over concealer. I have one concealer to talk about. I normally don't try a lot of concealers, and I only tried a couple this year, but I was very impressed with this one from NYX. This is the Bare With Me Concealer Serum, and it does have a serum consistency. Sometimes when things are labeled serums, to me, they're not necessarily serum-y, but this does have a very light, thin texture. The shade Light matches my skin pretty well, and I find this to be a beautiful product for all over the face as well. As far as finish goes, I struggle because on me, at the moment, it looks kind of more like a natural finish, slightly radiant. I feel like in the summer it would probably lean more radiant. It has enough natural radiance to reflect light in a really beautiful, natural way, but not enough to where someone's like, wow, she's really looking dewy today. Like, I don't think it's not gonna do that to your face. I just think it's very natural looking, very, very flattering. And I've used my fingers and a brush and a sponge with this. I like it all those different ways. I think I probably like it most with fingers. The only thing to be aware with this is that the little pump on it, as cute as it is, it pumps out a lot of product, way too much for your under eyes. So if you're someone who's putting a lot of concealer all over your face, that is fine. But otherwise, you're gonna want to use less than a full pump. And I know this is another product that people raved about. And I'm just kind of late to the party, but I had to throw my 2 cents in. I think it's beautiful. Shall we talk about mascaras? So I have been on a mascara journey and I have been loving every second of it. Mascara is one of my favorite makeup products. And even before I was really into makeup, I wore mascara almost every day. I just really love mascara. It really wakes up my face. And so from all the ones I have been trying this year, and I have been trying a lot of good mascaras. I have some good ones. I should be doing a mascara roundup here in the month of December as well. So be on the lookout for that video. But I do think I was able to narrow it down to 2 favorites that I tried this year. The first one I need to mention is from Honest Beauty. So they do have a couple different mascaras. The one that I like is the Extreme Length Mascara and Lash Primer. So this is a 2-in-1 product. It has a primer on one side, and I had to dig this out of my empties, by the way, so hopefully it's not too crusty and gross. But this is what the primer looks like. You apply it first, let it dry for 30 seconds or so, and then go in with the actual mascara. So first and foremost, it is a lengthening mascara. That's what the wand looks like. You're going to get beautiful length. I have found that sometimes when a mascara is labeled a lengthening mascara, it actually does do a beautiful job of lengthening your mascara, but it applies so little mascara that it's kind of hard to see. They're just kind of more natural looking. This one's more on the dramatic side. It gives you enough mascara on your lashes so that you can actually see them, but I find it to be very impressive. And the other thing that I found very impressive, specifically about the lash primer, is that when I pushed my lashes up with it, my lashes stayed curled. That's not normally something I pay attention to because I don't curl my lashes, but it was very noticeable with this that it kept my lashes lifted. So if that's something you're looking for, I mean, mascara is very personal for everyone, but I'd be very interested to hear if you tried this, how it worked out for you. The second mascara that would be probably my second favorite of the year, from L'Oreal. This is another very popular product, and I finally tried it this year. This is the Lash Paradise, and it is the mascara that I'm wearing today. I just love it. So this is what the wand looks like. It is a more fluffy wand, but this is one of those mascaras that just hits all the check marks. It separates, it lengthens, it volumizes, but it doesn't make my lashes look crunchy. At least I don't think so. And it's not too difficult to remove. Sometimes mascaras are very hard to get off. I don't have a problem with that with this one, and it wears pretty well. I say all the time in my mascara reviews that it's very rare to find a mascara that won't truly smudge or flake by the end of the day. This one I might have a little bit, but nothing serious. So I would put this up there with in the realm of very good mascaras. This one is worth the hype. So I don't often talk about eyeliners on my channel, but these are so good. They're from Kaleidos Makeup, and they have a very long name, and I don't think it's actually on the thing, and I can never remember what it's called. But they're essentially super glidey gel eyeliners, and they are in many different colors. I have 2 colors to show you. The newest one in my collection is the shade called Night of Creation, and it is purple. So there's the purple one. You can see it has a beautiful reflect. And the first shade I purchased was this shade called Limelight, which is a green shade, but it also kind of is duochrome. It will change to kind of a bluey turquoisey color. So not only are they beautiful colors and very easy to put on because they're so glidey, they wear really well. When something is really creamy and glidey, that's usually the first thing I think of, like, is it gonna smear everywhere? But these actually require a little bit of effort to remove at the end of the night. So I think that they are fantastic. And that's one of those things where I want all the colors. I only have the 2 colors, but I do want all the other ones. And I wish Kaleidos would actually get more colors. Okay, let's switch over to talking about lip products, and then we'll end the video with eyeshadow palettes. So let's talk about the product I'm wearing on my lips. This is relatively new to my collection, and I have been really enjoying it. It's from Ali Glein's new brand. The brand is called Ravie Beauty. It's it's one of these lipsticks that comes in this really beautiful slender tube. I have the shade Lily, which as you can see on me, it's very kind of a nudie peachy color. It's one of those formulas that's melty and sheer and builds up really beautifully. One thing I really like about this formula is that it doesn't become goopy on my lips. Like the more you add, a lot of times formulas will start to slip and slide and just get kind of goopy. This one doesn't do that. It stays really thin and it's beautiful. I'm enjoying it very much. And it has a very pleasant, soft vanilla scent. A product that is very similar from L'Oreal. I tried this year and I think it is so beautiful. I really like this one. This is the shade Nude Heaven in the Glow Paradise Lip Balm. I think it's called lip balm. This is another product that has a really long name and it's not on the tube, so I can never remember what it's called. But this is one I found myself reaching for all year long. I really just kind of crave this kind of nude color. I find it to be very, very flattering, super comfortable on the lips. Someone once tried to ask me to describe the smell of it, and I have a hard time describing it because it's not vanilla, but it's also, to me, not super floral. I don't know. If you have these, what do you think they smell like? I would like to hear your input. These come in a gazillion of shades and I kind of want them all. I'm not going to do that because that would be a lot, but I think it's a beautiful formula. I purchased this shade of lipstick from Lisa Eldridge this year and I think it's so unique. This is the shade Meet Me in Berlin. This is from her Luxuriously Lucent line, which is the more sheer lipstick. Meet Me in Berlin is a brown. I'm gonna turn down my ring light. I think it's too bright. I would have much preferred to do this video in natural light, but it is dark outside today. There, maybe you can see the colors better. So it is kind of grungy brown color, but not gray grungy. Lisa Eldridge is just the queen of like colors, right? She has some really unique shades. While this isn't a lipstick I can wear every day, it's just very unique in my collection and I really enjoy it. So I had to mention it, and as always, I have to show you the beautiful packaging. It has like the best magnetic closure ever. Oh, it's so satisfying. One more lipstick and then we can move to glosses. So this year I tried the Lustreglass formula from MAC and I picked up the shade Business Casual and I found this to be super flattering. So it looks kind of like a bricky red, but the Lustreglass formula again is a sheer formula, which, I mean, you can tell I definitely have a type of lipstick that I prefer, but this has enough brown in it that I can pull it off. There next to Meet Me in Berlin, it looks really kind of pinky red, but I assure you pinky red is not really a color I wear. This is more of a bricky red color, and again I find it to be a very, very flattering shade, so I had to mention that one. Okay, let's move on to glosses. Unfortunately lately my lips are becoming even more and more sensitive. I've had troubles with that for most of my life, but especially now, trying various lip formulas, I have found that less and less of them are working for me. I really have to avoid anything plumping. Anything with peppermint or cinnamon or menthol. Can't do any of them. And it's very sad for me because lip gloss, oh, it's always been a love of mine. So these three formulas are new ones I tried this year or at the end of last year. They're beautiful and they don't bother me, so I really wanted to mention them. First of all, this one from Kopari. So I tried this because Steph from It's Just Steph really likes these, and she's right about these. They're really, really good. So this is the lip glossy, and this is just the clear one. It is very heavily coconut scented. I was gonna swatch this for you. I don't need to swatch this for you, but one of the reasons I like it so much because it does feel very nourishing on your lips, and it's very high shine. When I'm wearing a clear gloss, I enjoy having one that's very shiny. If you enjoy a clear gloss, I really think that you'll like this one. A drugstore one that I really enjoyed this year is from AF94, which is Halsey's drugstore brand, and I've only ever seen this at Walmart. This is the Give 'em Lip High Shine Lip Gloss. I have the shade Honey I'm Home, which is just a beautiful sheerish neutral color. The wand is just kind of a classic little paddle wand. I find the formula to be very classic gloss as well. Very, very high shine though. Like I'm gonna try and show you how shiny that is. There you go, you can see super, super high shine, which again, I really enjoy in a gloss. I think it's unscented. I don't smell anything. It's a huge plus for me. These aren't very big glosses. There's only 3 mils in there. So if you're someone who likes to try a lot of lip gloss, that's nice just because it's not a big gloss that will stay around in your collection forever going bad. If you're a gloss person, I really recommend this. I think you'll like it. And probably my favorite formula that I've tried in a long time, I have to mention the Gloss Shots from Kaja. Oh, these are so delightfully pillowy on the lips. This is like a liquid lip balm, which is definitely my favorite formula. So this is the shade Pink Drink. Oh, and the scent, by the way, is slightly sweet, but nothing too strong. Then we have Milk Tea, which is basically just kind of a milky-ish clear gloss. And I also have the shade Honey Drizzle. All 3 of them are beautiful. The wand looks like that. It's got kind of that cute little skirped, cute little scooped wand that wants to hug your lips. It's very, very pleasant. Kaja quite frequently has amazing sales on their website. I got these for super reduced prices. If you're interested in them, you could definitely wait for a sale, but I'm just so impressed with these. In a sea of plumping, painful glosses, these are just a little oasis. I love them. These ones and the Tower 28 ones are probably my top glosses. Okay, now we're done talking about lips, we can talk about eyeshadow palettes. Or I guess rather I should say eyeshadow, because we're gonna talk about some eyeshadow singles first. I have one drugstore and one luxury single eyeshadows, both of which really impressed me. So the one from the drugstore is from Maybelline. This is the shade Nude Glow. I think they might have changed the packaging on these recently. I hope that this is still available. But I was actually pretty impressed with these. These single type eyeshadows from the drugstore, I've often not had, in the past didn't have very good success with them, but I think this actually is a beautiful formula. And look at that beautiful shine. It's a really good everyday color for me. And I actually reached for it more than I thought I would this past year, so I had to mention it. It's beautiful as a single eyeshadow look. This color is great for anyone, I feel, but especially if you have green or blue eyes. I also have Dior here in the shade Beige Mitza, which this is a very popular shade on YouTube, but it's for a reason. So the formula is, it feels like a cream. It feels wet, but it's just a powder. It's just a really creamy formula. And for a luxury brand, I just was not expecting it to be this pigmented. It is very pigmented, so creamy, very high shine, and it's that beautiful kind of taupe shade that I just crave that color. Someone asked me the other day if I had a dupe for this, and I do not. Both in shade and in formula, this is unique to me. Even though I tend to collect taupes like this, I don't have one like it. You can be sure that if I ever discover one, I will make sure and tell you. But again, great for a single shadow look, which is how I like to wear it. Okay, so now we can talk about palettes. Should we talk about the eyeshadow that I'm wearing today? I realize that with my lights on, you may not be able to see it very well. I'm wearing something from Beauty Bay, actually. This is the Neutral palette. I was so impressed by this. So they have this in several different sizes. This is the 16 pan, and it's my first time trying the Beauty Bay formula, and I'm really impressed. I think that the mattes not only are great shades, but they're creamy, blend really well. Pretty much all the palettes I'm going to show you are the type of formula where they're so creamy that I can pat with my eyeshadow brush versus having to blend endlessly in circles. I just like formulas like that. Just my eyelids have a lot of like loose skin on them, and it's wonderful to have a formula that I can just kind of pat into place and I'm good. So this has that type of beautiful creamy formula, and the shade I'm wearing on my lid is this shade Locket. I was trying to show you how like wet looking it is. I realize it might be hard to see, but in any case, I think it's got a beautiful color story, and I was really impressed with this. I had to include it in my end of the year favorites. Oh, something I should mention about the formula of the shimmers and things in the Beauty Bay palette, they are more creamy. I find they just don't wear as long, so I don't find it to be super terrible, but you know, just letting you know if that's super important to you. The really creamy eyeshadows don't tend to wear as long. That goes for the Dior shadow as well. Very creamy, but I definitely have to use an eyeshadow primer. This palette from Loreal, so beautiful. This is the Noir palette. I love the way it's laid out. It has the mattes on the top row and then just 2 rows of beautiful shimmers. So these have a lot of the beautiful little micro sparkle shimmers in them, ones that look very wet looking on your lid. Some of them are a little more crumbly than others. I don't really mind that. When it comes to these kind of wet looking shadows, I do tend to just kind of press them on my lid. So I haven't really had a problem. But there are other formulas in here that are more creamy versus the crumbly kind. I just enjoyed this so much. Loreal has great formulas. Okay, with the exception of one palette I tried earlier this year, I never heard anyone talk about it again after it came out. Like, people talked about it for like a couple days and then it was gone. Like, it was just not good. But this one, this one is good. But anyway, this has the beautiful blendy mattes and shimmers that just catch the light so beautifully. If you enjoy neutral shadows, I really recommend this one. Okay, my new favorite Sydney Grace palette. This is the Love's Journey. Every time I use this, I can't get over the quality. Sydney Grace always has great quality, but I think I said this already in a previous video, but I will say it again. I feel like this is like next level. The mattes in here are so beautiful. I love mattes that don't require a lot of work on my part, and oh, these just hit that mark so well. And of course, the shimmers are next level as well. Their shimmers are always really, really high intensity. Like, I will just show you 3 shades here. Their shimmers are very, I've heard them described as like molten before. Lots of pigment and just really creamy. Whoa, look at that. See how high shine? Oh, they're gorgeous. I should mention the only trouble I ever have with Sydney Gray shadows is that sometimes they actually look deeper on my skin than they actually look in the pan. So I always keep that in mind when I'm dipping into a neutral from them, that it might actually be deeper than I realize. Something to mention, but I absolutely love this palette. I feel kind of sheepish mentioning this palette because it's been a favorite on YouTube for a really long time, but you know, I just tried it this year and oh boy, do I love this palette. So this is from Pat McGrath. This is her very first mothership. This is the Subliminal palette. People know this as the cool toned one because it has these beautiful cool toned taupes in it. Although, I don't know if they're necessarily cool toned. They're just not warm. The thing that really makes it cool toned is this blue here and this kind of light purple shade. But I know I've talked about this palette a lot on my channel. I probably don't need to do so again, but I absolutely had to mention it in my end of the year favorites. When it comes to Pat McGrath, wait for a sale. She's been having a lot of them lately, and then just really go for a color story that you enjoy. Like, don't go for the one that, you know, someone is raving about. Go for the color story that where you think you will use all the shades. And the box is annoying, but I can't help it. I think the artwork is so pretty that I keep the box. Earlier this year, I tried a palette from M Cosmetics. So this is the Divine Skies Rodin palette. Of course, the shadow shades are right up my alley. And as beautiful as the shimmers are, because they are beautiful, I'll quick give you a swatch of this one here. It's really rich and just look at that, so creamy. So as beautiful as the shimmers are, I actually really like the mattes in this palette. And I like these for the same reason I like the other mattes I've been mentioning. Extremely smooth, easy to use, easy to blend, pattable, ones you don't necessarily have to spend forever blending, and not too pigmented. We all know mattes can be too pigmented. These are perfect for me. Oh, and they're just very, very soft. You can tell that they're just very nice shadows. I'll give you, see how just like smooth that is. Just beautiful. This palette does have one sparkle shade on the top, like kind of a topper shade. Topper shade. Hopefully you can see the beautiful, oh, it might be kind of hard for you to see, but the beautiful sparkle there. I do tend to appreciate small palettes for just having a complete look in them, and I really enjoy this one. We are down to the very last thing. I went back and forth on whether or not I should include this, but I do think I am going to mention it because I really enjoy the formula. So from Natasha Denona, this is the Mini Starlet palette. This palette disappointed a lot of people because we were expecting it to be much more cool tone than it is. It really just has this shade in it that is as cool toned as we expected. The rest of it leans warm or neutral in these 2 shades case. But I actually have very limited experience with Natasha Denona. I was kind of scared to try her palettes. I heard a lot of people say how they were just so pigmented and sometimes hard to blend, which really, you know, put me off trying it. But I really wanted to try this little color story, and I actually find the mattes in here to be very easy to use, not too pigmented, very easy to blend. And this shade here, everyone talks about this shade. This is the shade Galaxia. Very, very beautiful sparkle shade. So I'm glad I tried it. I understand that the formulas in all of her palettes aren't necessarily the same, but I can say that this palette, very easy to use, and I'm glad that I tried it. Okay, we have reached the end. Make sure and let everyone know down in the comments what your favorites are of things that you've tried this year. I always love hearing people's favorites. I often get really good recommendations from you guys, so please do share. I love to read your comments. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you very soon in the next video. Bye!